What's going on, guys? Flash Frame here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about a new game that just came out, Jump Force. Now, I used to be super big into anime, and my anime watching has gone way down since, the early 2000s. I still watch on occasion. There's a few shows that I like, but I mean, back in the day, I was super into Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, the big Jump properties for sure. To the point that I was importing most of the stuff before it ever hit stateside. Um, you know, uh, like I was getting fan translations and the whole deal. But we're here to talk about Bandai Namco's latest character action fighter RPG hybrid, I guess you could call it more than anything, Jump Force. Now, I'm going to preface this immediately at the beginning with, there's going to be some spoilers in here because there's some crucial things that I feel need to be talked about the game that don't get talked about in most reviews, and I feel that it's important as someone who played like the Xenoverse games and things of that nature. I feel that this is super important for us to address. So, let's get into it. First off, the graphics are a mixed bag. Like there's moments where the game looks absolutely amazing. There are other moments where I've literally watched a character basically T-pose into the sky to disappear, like as they're flying off screen, and like Frieza's just standing there and he just floats directly up. His feet don't move or anything, and into the portal he goes. So there's some jank. There's some definite jank. I don't know if they could fix that through patches or whatnot. They probably won't because it's additional animation work and things of that nature. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they will fix it if enough people talk about it. Um, okay, so let's break this down. I'm going to talk about graphics. I'm going to talk about gameplay. I'm going to talk about story, and I'm going to give kind of my overall feel of it. So graphics, like I said, bit of a mixed bag. The environments look stunning. I mean, all you have to do is go look at some gameplay. I'm not going to feature any gameplay. This is going to just be my direct thoughts on the matter. But like you look at this game and there are things that look absolutely amazing. Some of these characters brought into the real world where the game takes place. The materials that Goku's gi is made out of looks stunning. The materials on Trunks' jacket. Seeing characters like Cell, where you can see like the molting of his carapace. Seeing characters like Jotaro and Dio in a 3D space. Just very, very interesting. There's some really, really interesting design choices and picks for materials and things of that nature. And the Unreal Engine that they've picked, the version of Unreal Engine that they're running this on, looks amazing. Just absolutely, without a doubt, full stop. There are things in the game that look amazing. There are also the screen space reflections in this game are some of the most accurate looking that I've seen in a while. It suffers from some jank here and there, but it looks really good. And this isn't even talking about the particle effects. Now, the particle effects, like, they went all out on the super moves, and it's particles everywhere. Now, from what I hear, I'm talking about the PC game. I have this on PC. I've heard that it really causes, like, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, no matter which version you have, to have some problems, and that's at 1080p resolutions. We're not even talking about 4K. However, on PC at 1080p, you will get a locked 60 FPS cap. Locked 60, I experienced only a couple of drops, and that seemed to be because a background application started. Um, so the game, especially on PC, feels very well optimized. Now, it is very much intended to be played with a controller. I never go into these. I never test mouse keyboard controls on on spectacle fighters like this. Like there's no point. Um, just it's built with a controller in mind. Simple as that. Now, on that note, for those that care about your controller, and for those that like, I use an Xbox One pad. I know some people like using a PlayStation 4 pad because it is fairly well supported on PC as well. Um, there's an option in game to change your button prompts, so you can either have it come up as your Xbox standards or your PlayStation standard icons, which I thought was a very nice touch, and it's something that I've noticed more and more games are putting in, and I really do appreciate that, because I understand that some people, prefer the aesthetics and the ergonomics of the PlayStation 4 controller over the Xbox controller, and vice versa. I tend to prefer the Xbox layout. I like the location of the D-pad down low and the thumbstick up high on the left side of the controller. Now, graphical options, there's quite a few, actually. There's a good amount of graphical options in this game. And I was kind of shocked at how intensive it was. Now, it doesn't explain a lot of what each setting does, but if you're a PC gamer, you'll know most of what you're getting. And it was a very simple process to go in and mess with it. So that's the graphics. Gameplay. Gameplay is solid. If you've played Xenoverse or the Naruto character fighters, or stuff like that, you're going to be right at home. It's the typical, one trigger opens up your super menus, and each super's on a button. Everything's fluid and responsive. You're essentially you've got a jump, you've got a light attack, a heavy attack, a block, a sprint kind of closed distance rush button, and you've got your throw is dedicated to the B or circle button. And it's responsive. It's super responsive. Characters have plenty of moves. This is a spot of the game that I can't, there's not much to talk about, I feel, because again, if you've played Xenoverse, if you've played these Bandai Namco character action fighters, hell, even if you've played New Gundam Breaker or the Gundam Breaker series, you'll be right at home with Jump Force. They found a style of game a style of controls that work well, and they've settled on that style of control for their games, and it works. It works very well. I never felt like I didn't have a grasp on the controls. Things felt responsive. One thing I will say, there is no guard cancel or anything like that, at least not that I was able to find. Granted, I kind of play these games at a bit of a basic level, if I'm honest. So I didn't. There were a lot of times that I wanted to cancel out of doing an action, but I couldn't. If you go to do a super move, you're going to be locked into that super move. So if you go for that Kamehameha, you're locked into that Kamehameha. until it's finished. Um, I guess here's a good thing to also talk about what's represented in Jump Force, and really it's all the major non-sports um, Shueisha and Jump properties. So you've got Dragon Ball, highly represented. You've got Naruto and Boruto. Really, I consider those the same thing, but Naruto and Boruto are both heavily represented. More so Naruto than Boruto, which I guess makes sense. Um, Bleach is fairly heavily represented. Saint Seiya, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You get both uh, JoJo and you get Dio. Uh, Yugi Moto is in this, which a lot of people that saw prior video know that Yugi is in this, and he's actually got a really cool fighting style. His fighting style is actually fairly similar to the JoJo characters, surprisingly enough, because he essentially utilizes his dual monsters as a stand, Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, which is cool. You also get an ability in game called Draw, which gives you one of three effects. Either you'll play Swords of Revealing Light, which brings down 3 glowing swords in an area around the enemy that can stun them for a short time and do minor damage. You've got Light Force Sword, which creates a set of 4 to 6, I think, swords that fly at the enemy at random intervals, or will hit them when they get close. And you've got I forget the other one. It's supposed to be an equip spell that boosts your attack points. But regardless, you've got the draw ability, and that can be placed on any creative character as well. So your character can just use those abilities, which is really cool. And on that note, yes, absolutely, there's a create a character much like Xenoverse. You can only create a human, male or female. However, you have access to a myriad of moves from all the franchises. Yu Yu Hakusho. You've got Yu Yu Hakusho moves. You've got Dragon Ball, Bleach, Naruto. You know, JoJo, not so much. Like, you don't get a stand. As cool as it would be to have your own stand, you don't get a stand. And you can't take Yugi's moveset for your own, which is a little upsetting because I was really hoping to make like a duelist character, but you can't. That being said, it's like if you're into Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, hell, Saint Seiya, any of those kind, and I know I'm skipping a couple of anime that are and manga that are represented here, but these are the ones that are like more that I'm more aware of. You'll be right at home, and you can make your own custom to do pretty much whatever you want in the game. It's got a fairly in-depth character creator. It's not like Skyrim levels. It's not like MMO crazy. I'm gonna, create everything that everything I want. But you can make your custom waifu or husbando all you want, and it gives you plenty of clothing options for that that you can buy cosmetic, and they're just cosmetic. And that's something too. Unlike Xenoverse, where gear that you get powers your character up, in Jump Force, your clothing is purely cosmetic, and you get abilities and power-ups based on what's kind of like the old Z Souls in the Xenoverse series. So you equip a set amount of I forget what they call them, jump something or other. jump skills, J skills. I think that's it. Which are represented by quotes from famous characters, and you can unlock these through gameplay or buy them in the store, and you can put them on your character, and they give certain buffs or debuffs to the enemy, things of that nature. There is a bit of a rock paper scissors with some characters. Some characters are weak to certain attributes that other characters use in their attacks. So some characters are weak to dark, some characters are weak to light, some characters are weak to like spirit, Reiki, stuff like that. So that's something to keep in mind too in your moveset. Like certain characters are weak and strong to certain other attacks. So that was great. We got graphics, we got gameplay, story. I'm torn on the story. You've got to have a caveat to bring these characters together in the same world. And the idea here is almost a Kingdom Hearts-esque idea of there's the jump worlds and there's the human world. And the jump worlds are merging with the human world, and it's causing problems. And there are villains from the jump worlds that are causing problems on the human world. And you become embroiled in that conflict, essentially. It's a perfectly serviceable anime-esque, Kamen Rider cross Sentai type storyline. Like it's nothing that hasn't been done before, really. However, and I'm gonna preface this again. Major spoilers incoming, because I am about to spoil the end of the game, and there's a very, very specific reason that I feel I need to spoil the end of this game. In one of the things that drove me absolutely crazy about Xenoverse 1 was in the final fight in Xenoverse 1, where you've put all of this time and effort into your create-a character, you get robbed the win. Goku comes out and beats the main character in Xenoverse 1. It honestly killed my interest in playing Xenoverse 1 and almost kept me from buying Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2, it makes you feel a little bit more like it was a team thing, but like your character really did matter. That was an improvement. Jump Force, your character is the chosen one by the end of the game. Like you are the chosen one. You are the one that's going to save the world. At least by the initial credits scene. Now, there's some post-credits stuff that you can do that I haven't done yet. So there's a lot of content in the game. But I felt it's super important to me to know that my create-a character matters in the game story. And it actually does in Jump Force, whereas it did not in Xenoverse 1. And arguably it did and kind of didn't in Xenoverse 2, but it's, it is what it is in the Xenoverse franchise. But I really felt that it was super important that your character have agency and actually matter. Now, your character is mostly voiceless, save for, like, in the cutscenes, which I feel is a bit of a letdown. Especially considering that they had your create-a character voiced for attack moves. So that's kind of weird. But, Xenoverse does the same thing. I really wish that the people making these games would go ahead and do the ADR for your player character. Because you might as well. And I understand that that's kind of difficult because you're going to have, 6 to 8 different voice actors, both male and female, reciting the same lines multiple times. Like, I get it. but I really think that that would bring more agency to to your creative character, and I think that that's like, if we're going to do another type of game like this, I think that that's one of the things that needs to be improved. So, final thoughts on Jump Force. I don't know half the anime. There was a good amount of anime in this that I either had just ignored or was classic anime that just wasn't my kind of story, where characters showed up and then I'm going, who the hell is this character? I don't know this. And that's something that the game does not do a good job of explaining to you. Which brings me to another point. There is no in-game appendices or anything where you can go and look at, oh, this is Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, blah, blah, blah. This is Boa Hancock from One Piece. This is Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's no character bios, right? There's no way for me to deep dive into this information from within game to learn about these characters. For me, there were a couple of characters that this was my first introduction to them, and I didn't know who they were. And that's unfortunate, because you could have. Now, it makes me curious to go out and find out a little bit more about some of these characters, but at the same time, like, it would be really, really nice for me to be able to look at like a stats page or something in the game and then go, oh, this character's from Hunter x Hunter, or this character's from Bleach. So now I know what series I need to go to find out about said character. But I mean, at the end of the day, I get that the idea was this is the 50th anniversary for Shonen Jump, and they wanted something to celebrate all of Jump, which they did, but not everybody's going to know the entire Jump catalog, So, yeah, I mean, that's, if I'm gonna rate the game, I'm gonna give this a solid like 7 out of 10. It could be an 8 if it could be an 8 to an 8.5 if they just like smoothed off some of the rough edges, add a little bit of animation for certain things that don't have animation, and definitely if they did the full voice lines for the characters during cutscenes and had your character actually, a character, I think that would step this up to about an 8 to an 8.5 experience. But as of right now, it sits at a 7, maybe a 7.5, especially for the ending. The ending definitely made me feel good because my character got to be the one to beat the big bad, instead of the Jump heroes coming in and stealing that victory from me. So, yeah, I mean, it's a solid 7 out of 10 experience. Would I pay the $60 retail or the $100 for the the $100 for this for the big collector's edition? I mean, I couldn't justify the 100 for sure, but I think I could definitely justify the $60 for the game at retail right now. But that's going to be highly dependent on your love for anime and your love for shonen anime in particular, and these kind of action games. So I mean, if you enjoyed the Shinobi Strikers series or the Xenoverse series, you're going to feel right at home, and you're going to find that your money is well spent. Also, total playtime for this, is about. I mean, it took me about 20 hours to get through the campaign. And I'm still technically not done because there's still single player content for me to get through. So I would say, and I was just trying to power through the story for the most part, other than a couple of extra missions to unlock a couple of abilities. Um, yeah, you're going to get a lot of content for your money, and that's purely single player. That's not even counting like the multiplayer and couch versus, which this has a legitimate versus offline versus mode where you and your friend can sit down at the same screen and fight each other with these characters. Now, that's not the best. It's not the best system because it always focuses on one or the other, and it's usually whoever's doing better, which can really screw with people when they're the ones not doing so good and they end up way in the background. But I mean, at least they're not having to render these amazing backgrounds twice in a scene to do a split screen. So, yeah, 7 out of 5. Definitely, if you like anime and you like Shonen Jump, you like Dragon Ball, Naruto, stuff like that, I definitely recommend this game. So, thanks again, guys, for checking out the review, and hope to see you in the next one. Later.